Is New World the next big MMORPG? Let's take a few minutes and talk about that. 2020 is looking to be a pretty awesome year in terms of MMORPG releases. With the exception of Phantasy Star Online 2, Lost Ark, and possibly Crimson Desert, there doesn't really look to be any AAA titles that can come close to rivaling Amazon's new upcoming New World MMORPG launching later this year. New World is the upcoming love child of the sandbox MMO and survival game genres. The game is set on the fictional island of Aeternum, a land rich with powerful substance known as Azoth. This resource in specific has the power to essentially grant any wish: eternal life, infinite power, but like all things, it comes at a cost. We are adventurers, explorers, settlers, conquerors that have heard what this new world can offer. And thus begins the story, with us setting off to seek out the source of the Azoth while laying claim to Aeternum, killing anything and everything in our way. This includes other players and the Corrupted, a malevolent force of warped humanoids that came before us, and general wildlife that were unlucky enough to be tainted by the malignant element. As you no doubt gathered, PvP will play a large part in New World. While initially Amazon stated that PvP will be a main focal point of progression, ever since deciding to overhaul much of the game, they decided to not only make PvP more of like an opt-in, but they removed various survival elements, making it much more of an MMO. And believe me, I would much prefer that. I am an avid fan of MMOs. This entire channel is dedicated to MMOs, so hey, that works for me. Now, this means that while yes, PvP will be very important, it is no longer going to be a requirement. You can forgo the entire PvP experience of the game if you really want to, or turn it on when you want to raid with guilds or groups of friends. I know a lot of people were concerned for this because, let's be honest, a lot of MMO players prefer the PvE aspect of the game. That is why, after all, games like Final Fantasy XIV have continued to grow as much as they have, and games like World of Warcraft have removed open world PvP servers altogether. Speaking of playing with friends though, it would not be much of an MMO if we couldn't play with other people, right? According to Amazon, the servers will feature a capacity of up to 1,000 players at any given time. While that does make for a pretty large concurrent player number, if New World expects to ever rival any of the other large MMOs out there, it is going to need to increase that number quite significantly. And thankfully, they revealed that their intentions are to hopefully continue to increase that, but have no confirmation currently if that will be possible before the game launches. While a lot of current MMOs struggle to find 1,000 players online concurrently, New World is going to be new, it's going to be hyped, and it's going to be developed with almost infinite funding. There are going to be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of players that are interested in playing this game when it launches. I hope that they are anticipating this and have taken necessary precautions to prevent players not being able to play with their friends. I know this should still be fresh in your guys' minds, but who here remembers Gamigo and Arcade Unchained's mess of a launch when they screwed players over from playing with their friends? Yeah, let us not repeat that, please. So I've touched on PvP, but actually neglected to discuss the most important aspect of the game, and that is PvE. Because let's be honest here, PvP is great, but if there's nothing to do outside of PvP, then why wouldn't we just instead be playing a PvP focused game like League, right? Now, New World will have an emphasis on crafting. You craft items, you craft gear, and more, and to craft, you need to obtain resources and ingredients. This means actually going out into the world and farming them. While farming materials to craft items via alchemy, creating weapons or armor via blacksmith isn't exclusive to this game, as it is quite a staple of the genre even, you will be required to farm to build your home and further your own settlements. Yeah, so you can opt to, if you would prefer, go it completely alone like I would, or maybe you want to bring along just a single friend and tackle it just the two of you, like I would bring along MRSSTIX. You can build your own solo home, or you can become part of a community and work with others to not only claim your little portion of land, but also defend against future invasions. This will be because enemy Corrupted will begin to lay waste to your home. As quoted from the developers directly, the enemies in the woods will come for you. But you're not limited to a single home. The devs claim that you're going to have access to more than one settlement, meaning at times, you might even be split between which settlement to defend or continue to build up. Unfortunately, there won't be any dungeons or raids to run through, but there will be a large, powerful world bosses for players to group together with other players to combat. I was actually a little disappointed when they made this announcement. See, MRSSTIX and I, we both love running dungeons, we both love running raids. That sense of community and working together with a group of other people to overcome something like a dungeon or a raid. I don't know, it's an enjoyable part of a game for us. But I mean, you know, I get it. I'm guessing it wouldn't really make all that much sense instancing part of the gameplay considering this is a sandbox MMO survival game hybrid. One final note with regards to PvE is the fact that they've decided to add quests into the game that weren't present in the previous alpha builds of the game. This is part of their overhaul and looks to be due to them trying to make it more of an MMO, I guess. Adding on to that is the fact that the economy is going to be completely player driven. I can say with certainty and clarity that I am not a fan of player-driven economies because as the player base dwindles, as it no doubt will, every game does, the economy will continue to deteriorate. And while I'm not saying that New World employing this necessarily means that the economy is going to end up in a less than stellar state, I am cautious of how it will ultimately turn out. I know some people are excited for this. A lot of Western indie developers believe that this is the route to take to make a successful economy, but if history has taught us anything, it's that you don't need to fix what isn't broken. But then again, a game like this, a game that has a focus on the survival aspect, would benefit from a player-driven economy, so it could realistically work out very well. I guess it all just depends in the end on what kind of game it ends up being closer to. Oh, I just now realized that after speaking about almost everything else, I have completely neglected the combat. Yikes, that's
Yeah, that's my bad.
So interestingly enough, the combat is going to be a little different to what we're used to in the scene. No, it isn't going to be tab target, nor will it be action like Black Desert. Instead, people have been comparing the combat to quite a different game in a completely different genre. Dark Souls of all things, yeah. So combat is going to be a little more difficult, and it's going to have mechanics that aren't traditionally used in MMOs, such as dodging and parrying, providing players with more direct control over the flow of battle. Which actually leads me to my next point of discussion: classes and leveling. New World is going to have an absence of classes. They believe that providing players with the ability to play how they want and furthermore what they want is paramount to having an enjoyable long-term experience. And I'm going to be honest here, they are actually going about it in a way that will probably work. See, you can equip any kind of weapon you want, allowing you to essentially fill any role. However, each weapon type has masteries associated with it, meaning that the more you use a weapon, the more proficient you become at it. Each weapon has their own unique set of skills that can only be utilized when wielding that specific type of weapon, meaning that there isn't necessarily any classes in game. There are roles, however, that function similarly to what a class would be. See, that to me, that means that there isn't really much to worry about. It'll make something like weapon dancing a little more common if that's even a possibility. But if you want to be something like a tanky greatsword wielding warrior, then you can probably manage that. To add further to the customization of your character are attribute points. I know that this has been a long since dead feature in the MMO scene, but it is still actively used in the survival genre. Honestly, I'm not certain to what extent attribute points will be capable of being used, whether it's for like DPS influencing statistics like strength or intelligence, or something more along the lines of stamina or crafting speed. New World is a very promising looking upcoming MMORPG. It is being backed by a company with near endless funding and has developers that worked on World of Warcraft and EverQuest. It looks absolutely beautiful and is actually using a brand new engine for the game. I guess they're kind of hoping that this is used more as a form of advertising their game engine in hopes that other developers will begin to create games with it as a basis. I mean, that is more money for them after all. It has a lot of good concepts and has a very solid business model, opting to go the way of a buy-to-play MMO via Steam. Speaking of, New World is actually being built for PC and PC only. So for players interested in playing the game via console, yeah, that is likely never going to be a possibility. The game does have an expected closed beta date of sometime in April 2020. Specifics weren't really given yet, but more information will be revealed as we close in on the release date. The full game will launch in May 2020 for players that purchase the game, with packages ranging from the $40 standard edition and the $50 deluxe edition. The only difference between the two packs are honestly a few aesthetic items, a pad, and a mode, and a digital art book. Honestly, this is a pretty damn good deal in my opinion, because they don't really offer like a plethora of pay to win or pay to advance items like a lot of South Korean MMORPGs seem to do these days. I am very excited for this game. From what I know is going to be released in 2020, I definitely think New World has the potential to probably be, at least at this point at the beginning of the year, one of, if not the best MMO to release in 2020. But hey, that is just my opinion, my impressions of the upcoming MMO. What do you guys think though? Let me know down in the comments and let's talk about it. Anyway guys, that is it for me. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all next time.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make it.